Alright YouTube, it's time for another walk and talk, and the video down below is from a fellow content creator called Memory Decipher, and I've grown quite fond of his work over the last year or so. He has offered a lot of really good insight when it comes to things like the Second Amendment, to Big Brother, and his video down below is very important for you guys to watch to understand what's been going on in the last week with all these mass shootings. And we all know that these mass shootings happen willingly. So people have intel that these shootings are going to happen, and they don't bother to let anybody know. Maybe they'll let their close friends or family members know that, okay, don't go to this mall, there's going to be a shooting there. It happens all the time, especially if these people, most of the time these people are active government workers, so they have access to said intel. But we all know that these things happen willingly. I don't know if that's the best word to use, but they do happen willingly. They're allowed to happen because each shooting produces a new catalyst for a specific narrative. And I talked about Gilroy, I talked about the two different narratives there, with the first one being guns are bad, okay, and then secondly, white man bad. And they're going to continue to push these narratives, and they're going to continue to allow these mass shootings to happen on soft targets in order for them to push a certain political message or social message. It's evil. Objectively speaking, it is evil. Not just, from the standpoint of the shooter. He's obviously the one carrying it out, killing innocent people, unarmed people, often children, like we saw in Gilroy. Poor 6-year-old boy was shot in the back, no less. But it's the people that allow these things to happen that are just as guilty as the shooters. And they know this, and they actually do know that people are becoming more and more aware of their shenanigans. There are multiple ads on Facebook that are literally, and they don't use the word crisis actor, but they're literally recruiting crisis actors. And this is through, I guess it's through the local National Guards that they have. They want to have basically extras there in order to create a certain scenario. What if these same actors are to be utilized during these mass shootings? Just for the camera's sake. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. I can't make a conclusive determination here. But I do highly recommend you check out the video down below from Memory Decipher. He goes in a little more depth into what's been going on here, the similarities between the shooters, just the eerie similarities in terms of appearance. And my personal take, I look at these guys, the shooters from the last events that happened, Gilroy and then El Paso, they look very similar. They look like they've been subject to the same type of conditioning. So it basically looks like they're two peas in a pod. Maybe they were conditioned together. Maybe they're twins separated at birth. I'm not sure, but very weird stuff going on. Anyways, in closing, I'll say that it's probably going to be, I don't know where the next mass shooting is going to be, but I don't count it out to happen within the next week. I think I would not be surprised if one hits here in California again. I guess that would be kind of redundant. They already had Gilroy. It's fairly close to me here in Santa Cruz. It's about an hour and a half drive. Could be somewhere on the East Coast. Could be in one of these, notorious blue states that has very strict gun laws. Maybe like in Illinois or New York. Somewhere in the South, perhaps. I don't know. I guess that would, if they did one in the South, that would kind of disrupt the whole narrative of, oh, blue states, with the strictest gun laws have more gun crime because people aren't able to defend themselves. Well, if it were to happen in a place like Alabama or Mississippi, yeah, that might kind of squash that narrative. It'd still push the white man bad narrative for sure. And maybe try and associate any of these shooters with the Republican Party, because they've done this before. They've tried to link gun violence to the Republicans because they're buddy with the NRA. You even look at Childish Gambino's "This Is America" music video, where I mean, it's just the symbolism is just so obvious and so blatant. He shoots some fella who's tied up in a chair with a bag over his head, shoots him in the back of the head with a handgun, then puts the handgun on a red satin pillow. And PJW actually pointed this out. He said, "Oh, the red satin pillow represents the colors for the GOP." So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So check it out down below. The video from Memory Decipher. I would care to talk more about this, but I'm on my way to work. There are other people that are just doing a really good job of pointing out all of the absurdities of the events in the last 5 to 6 days. So, actually, I guess 7 now. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless. And wherever you guys are, stay safe, stay armed like myself. Got my Kershaw with me, but if you guys have the right, rather, you guys have the willingness to harm yourselves, then please do so. Please do so. Alright guys, stay tuned. After I get off work, I'm going to do a walk and talk on the Second Amendment. Got a couple things I'd like to say. And have some ideas on how to prevent these shootings in the future. And hope you guys stay tuned for that. Alright guys, goodbye.